Hey everybody, Jim here to remind everybody that this is an annuals week at DC Comics, and because of that, the regular podcast is a Patreon-only show. So if you want to listen to our regular show episode 470, that is Patreon only this week, and you can go over to patreon.com/weirdscience and listen to that and a bunch of other things for as low as $1. You can pick other levels. The more you go up, the more podcast you get, all the way up into the badass level of the Get Fresh Crew, where you get to pick what we do, especially for our weekly spotlight show. So usually when we have this week, I don't like to leave the feed barren and clear. I like to put up something that will show you a little bit of a smidgen of what else we do on the Patreon. So I'm going to put up a badass Patreon spotlight show that we ended up doing at the beginning of January. This is our show that we did Lazarus Planet Alpha #1 and the Flash number 790. Kind of ties in well with our Patreon only show this week, where we did have the Lazarus Planet tie-in and also the 1 Minute War special. So this gives you a little taste of this. This is what we do each and every week on the feed. They come out Thursday night, but you're going to get a little taste of that. This is about an hour and 45 minutes long. So you see, we put a little bit of effort, have some fun with it. But if you like what you hear and want to get involved even because of that, just go over to patreon.com/weirdscience. I'll have that in the show notes, a clickable link if that's where you're listening allows that. And you can boom, go over, and then you can see and get a ton of podcasts. But thanks for letting me jump on here. I hope that you enjoy this spotlight. And me and Eric will be back next week with the episode 471 on this regular feed. So thanks, everybody, and I'll talk to you later. Enjoy the show. All day long, Eric. The spotlight, you and that big D, you cannot separate.
Why should I be horizontal now?
Well, because it's time to get busy, my friend, is what happens there. I mean, seriously.
Look at Eric over there playing with his toys and his underwear. What are you doing sitting there? You should be horizontal now.
Yeah, you should. What do you do sitting down? You should be horizontal now. You lay down and get those pants off, Eric. That's what it's saying. If you need me to come over and explain it to you, and maybe Jess would like that, I will. I'll come over. That will be my duty
I'm going to
for
HR.
the night. Oh,
the weird science HR.
It's great. You're the weird. Yeah, you realize that's me. You come in, I'm wearing glasses.
I'm just going to punch you in the face.
What would you like to talk about today? Actually, I'd be like, oh, you again? And I'd be like, wait a second here. Well, actually, there is a thing outside of my
you
HR
keep going with this
office.
like I don't know, but I don't fall for it.
Well, you do, because you're not allowed to wear glasses inside the HR department. I have a thing, no glasses allowed. You come in, and I disguise my voice. You can't tell. I'm, hello there, sir. What's going on? Do you have
of course
problems?
I know. Everything's a Cockney accent.
Do you have any problems here with the employees? Right? And then you say, well, I do. Who's this Jim guy? Yes, Eric, I win.
He sounds handsome and tall.
I win. You mean that 6'5" handsome guy, huh? See, there you go. And then I come out in stilts with a big trench coat on. Hey, are you meaning me? Oh, wait a minute. I have to change my voice now. Hello, love. Is that me you're talking about? I don't get handsy.
Classic,
there you go. And scene. Eric, I ended up looking at some podcasts that we had. We'll have an email this week from Batman Beyond Mark about the longest show and whatnot. And one of the longest shows, it might be the longest show, had Worrisome Williams on it. It was just
Worrisome Williams, huh?
It was just making me laugh.
Oh, boy, oh my God.
Oh, Worrisome Williams. That guy had problems. He was always worried. I don't know why, but he was. And speaking of being worried, Eric, I'm worried about what people are going to think of us after this spotlight, because I think it's one of those things, too. Me and you don't necessarily review things on the site anymore, right?
Uh-huh.
And so most of the books we don't read until we're going to review them. So we see some people, I'm in the Slack, and I see some people commenting on all these things they ask me about, and I say, I'm not going to read that till later. And
I avoid all of it.
I end up getting the hype of the issues, right? And I see Gabe on the site, Gabe Lazarus Planet Alpha #1, a 9.5. So nice. I'm like, all right. So that probably means around a 7 for the sane people in the world, right? but also the idea
Thank
that,
God
oh man,
for Gabe to make DC think that we're still hype people.
I know. Well, there you go. But no, I'm just joking about that. But when I saw that, I'm like, oh, Gabe really liked it. That starts hyping me up. And then I hear a lot of people like, oh my God, this Lazarus Planet, this has got me so fired. And this, I'm telling everybody, this isn't a thing where I'm like, oh, these jerks, what do they? No, I'm getting excited because I want us to have something to be excited about.
Hard as a rock right now.
That gets everybody involved. That's what we want. I mean, it helps us when you have some good events, and this is the big thing now. I think that this has been the big thing being pushed for the last couple months, while Dark Crisis got pushed to the side.
The thing is, it's this thing that's supposed to be the next big thing. For me, it's a stepping stone to the dawn of the DCU, which I actually care about, but I have to deal with the Lazarus Planet first, and it has been doing this hype thing for like pseudo-hype thing for a little while now, because with all this story going into Lazarus Planet Alpha, we have all the story that took place in the Monkey Prince, like, prologues going into the Monkey Prince. We had the world's finest stuff. We had Batman versus Robin. We even had elements of the Robin book itself. All of these stories leading to this one thing. And now we're here for the big main event. I'm like, how is it I don't feel I know what's going on?
I know. Did you say monkey? See, well, that was pretty good. That was live there. That's live monkey sounds. My whole big thing is, and I even laughed at myself, Eric, because a lot of people were talking about Josh. Yeah, really. People were talking about Joshua Williamson and how he can't end the story. And then it dawned on me while I was reading this time, like, you know what? This is kind of Mark Waid finishing up a bunch of Joshua Williamson stuff. So maybe there is something to that. Maybe this is because, again, I thought, oh my God, everybody's loving this. This is going to be great. Of course, right before I started reading, I did get a message on Twitter. I got a DM from Andrew in Belfast, who pretty much, deflated the sales a bit, because he ends up where I get this thing and he's like, did you read Lazarus Planet? I hated it. I'm like, oh, here we go. And then I jumped in. I don't hate it. I think that both these, Lazarus Planet Alpha #1 and The Flash, they're both just setups.
Deflated the sales.
Yeah, deflated the sales. I knew you were going to say something about that.
I'm thinking this. I was waiting for you to come up, like, tell me what the rest of the story is, because I had no idea what you meant by this. I'm like, the book sales?
They deflated like a
they
balloon.
Going down
the wind was in the sales, and then when it came up, the deflation of the sales is when they go flat.
I'm no wordsmith either. I'm just sitting here trying to understand what the hell you're talking about. He came in and deflated the sales.
Things up.
All right, I'll let him cook a little bit here. We'll see what's going on.
I meant like, I'm on the boat. The sail's going. Everything's going great. We're heading to the new world. We're going to get those spices, right? We're heading there. All them spices so we can put it on the rancid meat. All that. All of a sudden, they were deflated. We were stuck in the middle of the ocean. Me, you, and Columbus sailing 3. But yes, probably. But I don't know. You're a bigger guy. We could fight it out, but there'd be more meat on your bones, I would believe. And I don't want to hear any fat jokes.
What are you talking about?
I've had problems. I just ended up having a problem recently. I had this ramen that I really like, that spicy-ass ramen. It has a ton of sodium, which I'm not supposed to eat, right? And I ended up eating it the other day.
Ramen?
I'm telling you, my ankle and it ballooned.
No, they're called cankles.
And so did my whole foot. If I would have showed it to you, you would have freaked out. And my hand.
Diabetes.
And now I looked, and it's from me not drinking a lot of water and the sodium. So I had some issues. So I got to watch myself.
Good old WebMD.
I said I can only be that lucky. Oh, it was weird. But all that deflated sales. Yeah, I kind of went into this wanting to get excited about both of these books, and obviously. I saw people like, oh man, I was looking more forward to The Flash, but that Lazarus Planet. And then when I read it, I don't have a big feeling about it either way right now. I'm just kind of there. And I know that what you said, everybody should use your kind of way of things. It's just a stepping, because all these things are stepping stones. They never end. You only have at the end, wait till you see this. Wait till you get to there. But really what we want is this whole dawn of DC. This is the big deal. Give me the
way that the new direction that DC Comics is going with all of these new #1s coming out with characters that I want to love. And like I'm saying, I do love and I want to love their series, and I hope all the great things for DC Comics in 2023. But at this point in time, the premise alone of Lazarus Planet makes me think, well, I'm here. I might as well read it and wait for the good stuff to come out.
I mean, when I'm reading it, it does really remind me of, okay, You got the Flash Storm, the Speed Force Storm going here.
Oh, yeah.
You got this, you got that. It really ties into stuff like the JLD book and the Upside Down Man.
Upside Down Man, magic is wonky again.
Yeah. I think that it does it in a way that it kind of disguises some of the things, but at the end, it really did feel like that JLD magic is wonky. And I don't know, at the end, and you've told me that before, that was more of your thing. I'm not going to steal your thunder.
You can steal it, it's fine.
Well, there you go. But in that, I just, it's weird.
I'm
looking forward to it continuing. But I wanted to be more excited as we're going. Here are the credits, though, as we jump into it. And I say all this, and I don't think we're going to be overly negative about it. I want it more. I want it more. And I'll tell you, there's things in Flash where I said right away, the first thing I said when we got on with, I said, man, I wanted that barbecue, but I wanted more of it. Like, that wasn't exactly what I wanted from that barbecue.
We can get back to it.
But
it's only a minute more.
Yes, well, it's all frozen, but they're really not. But Lazarus Planet Alpha #1, written by Mark Waid, art by Riccardo Federici, Brad Anderson, Steve Wands. That's the main story. You have a Gene Luen Yang backup that we'll get to, obviously.
Crazy.
Second, Eric. And yeah, that was crazy. And so when you get into this...
It's a prequel to Monkey Prince #0 in the backup of freaking, Lazarus Planet Alpha #1.
My head was spinning. It really was. And I think that it's pretty much in my mind, it's taking, this idea that not many people read Monkey Prince, so we'll just tell this here, but it's going to screw you up in your head a bit if you read all the other things. But when you get into this, I said right away, I got in the Slack, and I know that everybody is going to disagree with me. I know it. But I don't like Federici's art. I've always said that. I've never liked it since we even had him back at points when he filled in at points on Aquaman. I think it was with me, you, and Reggie. And I said, I don't really like this art. And then especially in the War World stuff. I don't know that he gives a consistent character throughout. I think things change a bit. They end up, and it's one of those where it will, when you get the magic stuff, that's where it works in my mind. But just regular superheroing things, I think that it comes off a little scratchy, a little, line heavy, Eric, right?
Like we are dealing with a medium that is static. It's panel by panel showing us progression. But for some reason, the way the Federici's are here is doing this, it comes off just like, just completely static for how it is. It just doesn't have any feel like, no momentum, no motion to it as you go panel to panel because of how big things are at times. Like, here's a close-up of Damian Wayne's face, and then here's a giant, Tower of Fate. It seems like snapshots telling a story. And I know, that's what comics are. But there is a way in everything that we deal with where you have a progression, a motion that feels natural and good. And this, I'm telling you, it looks good, but for the way the progression works, it doesn't flow very well to me.
Well, here's because, like you said, when I start trying to explain myself, I end up running into brick walls like you are. Like you're saying, it's static, but it is. It's a static medium. Yeah. So when I say some of the panels look great, but they don't because the flow isn't there. And panel to panel, there are things that, like, you end up seeing them climbing up the mountain. Batman's there, Supergirl's flying, and it looks awesome, but not for the comic. It doesn't have that momentum. Like you said, it doesn't have that flow. It doesn't have that over-the-top energy, even as you see things blowing up.
Well, I'm telling you, I'm looking at a panel right now of Supergirl and Power Girl stopping, Damian Wayne and the rest of our Bat family's jet from crashing right now. Like, it's crashing, they're stopping it. And it just looks kind of scratchy. And I'm like, what would this look like with a clear design, bright-ass colors, and not this over, saturated kind of dark look to it? And, it might be really cool, but right now it's just, Supergirl kind of looks weird with her dark face here. And I don't know how to, It's good, but it's just not great.
That's what I'm saying. I agree. And that's my whole point. Now, one of the things I think, and this is a guess, I think that it might look better on paper. I think that if you got the issue, I think that because when I am reading, first off, I have to zoom in. I'm getting blind at my old age, and you have to as well. You do the zooming in.
I don't need to zoom in.
The art falls apart the more you zoom in. It really does, because then you start seeing the line. Like, it's just a weird part.
I just know that I would hold a book closer to my face than I would my screen.
Well, I'm telling you, though, but the book is getting closer, but the image is staying the same. When you actually then zoom in and enlarge the deal, it kind of goes. I always have mine at 125%. On my tablet, I don't, but when I'm doing this, I end up getting it a little
That
bigger.
should keep
But
your mood.
still there with it. It's the art isn't horrible.
No,
It doesn't
not.
ruin the issue. It just, I always feel like, yeah, like you said, like, man, this would look better this way or what. But the characters all have that look. It looks epic. It just does not flow like a comic book in my mind. But you end up having this where there is Damian Wayne. He's with Talia, Batman, Black Alice. They're coming off of Lazarus Planet, and Lazarus Island.
Yeah.
When they end up trying to escape as the volcano exploded. They don't know what's going on. They're
And
trying
this
to get a
magical
plan.
Lazarus volcano has now created freaking magical storms across the world. It's all hands on deck. Like, Supergirl's getting a hold of all of the heroes from the Hall of Justice. We need to deal with this because we've got supercharged weather conditions created by a mysterious magical rain, and they're blanketing the earth, creating life-threatening damage with typhoons, tornadoes, and level 5 thunderstorms. So we have all of this all over the world from that
Are
one
there
volcano
tsunamis
eruption.
anywhere, do you think?
There might
do you
be
think
some
there's a
tsunamis on
tsunami?
top of the tornadoes.
There might be. There just might be. I'll tell you right away, though, my issue, and we all heard about what this was about. You end up having the Lazarus planet, and it's going to be these storms that end up making people who aren't meta and things like that.
And again, I'm waiting for that.
But I wanted more of that. That's
yet,
what I'm saying, yeah.
I'm saying that we don't even know what's going on at this point in time because we're just trying to, relapse after everything we just dealt with in Batman versus Robin. Because right now, on top of all of these, tsunamis and tornadoes going on across the world, these magical supercharged, because the rain's magical energies seem to be overloading technology in many areas. So on top of this Lazarus rain raining down all over the world at once from this one volcano over here causing all those problems we just said, I don't want to keep saying those words, but it's making magic wonky, and it's also making technology wonky. And so now we just have the idea where anything you want to do or not do, you just say because Lazarus rain, and I hate that idea. Just this overall blanket thing that says, oh no, this doesn't work this way, or we can do whatever we want over here because this one thing we just created right here that doesn't make sense, and it doesn't matter though.
Yeah. Now, my problem when I say that we don't get much of it, obviously they're reacting to it as it goes. Yeah. But we do get one thing. We get Supergirl, who starts talking about her powers, but it's in a vague way. Now, I asked you that, what's going on with Power Girl? What's going on with all the other, even magical characters that they seem to not say anything about being affected by it at all. It's just Supergirl who says, my powers are backwards upside down, and that really doesn't make any sense
now
to me.
Now the sunlight drains my powers, and also Kryptonians aren't great against magic, but I'm like, you said your powers are turned upside down, so does that mean that you're strong now? Because even when we have this progression go on where all of a sudden magic is affecting her by the silver horn king or devil, I forget which one it is, but you have it going on. It's making her feel the fear real bad. She's feeling that fear, Jim. She can't get a hold of herself. And then she does a little clap, and we take it out. Her powers are fine in this moment, but she's affected by the fear, so the magic is affecting her. But I have no idea what any of this means, because even when we have Mary Marvel here do a big old Shazam to break a hole into the Tower of Fate, oh, that one's going to hurt me. That one hurt real bad. I'm like, I don't understand how anybody's powers work right now. I just know that Cyborg's powers aren't working great. The Scarab's powers aren't working great, but to what degree? Because they don't even know themselves. It's just something that says that, hey, all them super powerful characters we have can solve this, and they're like, no time flat. Yeah, that rain done fucked them up a little bit, huh?
Yeah, and the weird play is, like you said, I thought we'd get more of an idea of how the powers are being affected, not just Supergirl. Like I said, Power Girl's right there with her. Like, what's happening with her? Why isn't? And I even got the idea that there was a wonky play here of like, are we going to start saying that that it's magic? Because it seemed like the idea of pushing the effect and saying like, of Supergirl, though, like, you're only mentioning tech and magic, and then all of a sudden, Supergirl, oh, my powers are upside down. That seemed to be a fudge.
Flip turn upside down.
Yeah, to be, it's like Bill Biv DeVoe. Rub it down. Hey, you end up where Supergirl, though, it almost felt like it was a fudging of the things, because they're like, well, you shouldn't have powers anymore. It's dark. And she goes, oh, no. It's opposite now. And this is the problem.
It's opposite day.
You run into opposite day problems. Because once you have opposite day and you start going, then you start wondering, wait a second, you didn't say opposite, and then you start arguing. Because when she says everything's flipped on upside down, then she talks about magic. Does that mean that magic now, she's not, I know, and that's weird. Because right after she says, my powers are kind of reversed, but we're vulnerable to
like, her ass
well,
needs to go
you?
to Earth 3 now and hang out with Ultraman, who has the reverse powers like that. Is Kryptonite going to supercharge your powers like Ultraman?
And then
because
he comes
turned upside
here,
down?
and now he's good. So you end up where they're trying to figure out what's going on. And I do like some of the things where, hey, we got to, convene at the Hall of Justice. We have to figure this all out. And it's pretty much, there is no, Justice League now. There's a lot of ragtag bunch of heroes. They even say it makes sense
Kicking it old
because
school.
people are dealing with their own thing and whatnot. And it's funny where you have Supergirl talking about that. And I'm like, where were you at the beginning of Dark Crisis? You seem to have a head on your shoulders here. John's putting together these wacky teams and stuff. But you have some nice moments. I just ended up by the end.
Well, Monkey Prince talking to Black Alice and talking her down. It is a bit of a it's a way to slow things down from all this action with our two teams splitting up into different things. Not even two teams, because we got to, save anybody we can from the magical tsunamis and whatnot. But we have to go find the Devil Nassau. We have to go break into the Tower of Fate, and we also have another team that's sitting back at, HQ right now, so Damian Wayne can put together a plan and stuff like that. We have a lot of stuff going on in this book. When you take the moment to slow down with Monkey Prince just talking to Black Alice and just showing, he's Marcus Sun's actually a nice guy, even in his Monkey Prince form. He's willing to be nice to her and stuff like that. It's a bit slowed down, but it's also there for anybody who didn't read the 10 jillion books that led up to this that were also confusing, to let you know what's going on. Oh, Black Alice, I heard they made you take your powers from these magical artifacts and put it over here. That's crazy, right? Hey,
that's
crazy.
Talk
to me about how you feel, huh, girl?
If you ever need to talk, girl, I'll be here. But I like that part. Girl. Actually, I like the idea of having that personal deal with Monkey Prince and showing that he is a nice guy, because a lot of people didn't read Monkey Prince. So
well, it's not even that, because usually Monkey Prince is kind of a jerk in this form.
Yeah, he is. He has matured a little in this. I do love the idea. If you haven't been reading Monkey Prince, we're talking about Marcus. Like, oh, you won't know him, but Jesus Christ, if you didn't read that, all of a sudden you get, all these different characters from that book just thrown at you.
Well, out of nowhere, we had that anthology-style story where you have 12 issues. Every 4 issues, we move to a new city and just do Monkey Prince origin stuff. Issue number 9, our asses get to Metropolis, and it's all hands on deck for Lazarus Planet. Everything's important now. From issue number 9, I don't think, as I said, we have that because we have the Civil Horn Demon and stuff like that. We have the Gold Horn Demon.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But
all that build up,
boom.
Everything just came to a head last issue number 9 of Monkey Prince to really put us in the spotlight here with Marcus Sun. I'm like, it's just so crazy how that book became important out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's how you do it. Is it going to be one of those that it didn't sell well? It still isn't. But is it going to be one of those where all of a sudden everybody's reading it in the app, or they're getting the trade? I don't know, because it becomes very important. Though, if you read this and then go back, like, boy, I want to see that Silverhorn King. He looks awesome and menacing. You go back to the Monkey Prince, he wasn't quite as awesome.
Kind of penguin-esque.
He looks awesome here. Like, that's what I'm saying about the Federici art. That he looks incredible. I mean, there he is, looks so good. But it's still just him flexing with lightning behind him. It's not much of a, motion. You don't get that feel of the deal, and it kind of lessens it a bit. But you end up where, as you said, you have part of the team. They're going to go find Nezha. They're going to go and try to get him because they need to, pretty much figure out and maybe heal Batman with him as well. There's some crazy stuff
he was hurt before. He's probably going to go for Ra's al Ghul's personal Lazarus pit to try to heal himself. We also know that the Red Fire King is, the Red Fire Bull. King Firebull is coming for his ass, because that's what we ended last time.
You need more of a better flow of the main villain.
Well, it's King all these Chinese mythology characters for some reason. I always have a hard time remembering the proper words in the proper order, and I have no idea it is, because we've read all of this. I've read this issue. We talk about these characters in this issue, and I'm still fucking it up. And I'm like, why is this a thing?
To this day, I could convince you probably that it's Keenan Kong or Kong Keenan, which is Kong Keenan because of the way that
Keenan
the
Kong
names
was the original way it was said, too, and my brain stuck with that for a long time.
And then they ended up changing it, because then you ended up having Gene Luen Yang saying, no, it would actually be that. It does get a little wacky. And so when you get into the next part, that backup, then they really throw some names at you that I think are going to go right over some people's heads. But really, if you go by the big moments here, this is a cool setup. It just, there's a lot of things that seem like they don't quite match what we just saw. And Mark Waid's coming in to deal with things from a bunch of different books, not all of them his. And it does feel like some of the things got a little, and some of them are his. And we talked about this, the idea of these magic users, all the magic characters being in the Tower of Fate, they kind of blame, that it wasn't Batman seemed to send them there. You were even talking about this beforehand.
It's a situation where you have to find all the artifacts that, like, the Devil Nezha discarded. Damien tells us, look, he discarded all those magical artifacts that he already sucked the power out of over there at the Tower of Fate. So we got to go break in there. And when we eventually do break in there, we have all the people that he sucked off in there as well, because Batman with the Helm of Fate went and put that on. He sent them away. Like, he doesn't know where he sent them. He just knows the helmet's going to send them to a safe place. Turns out it's the Tower of Fate, where we have a whole Sentinels of Magic situation. All the magic users, Devil Nezha kidnapped and sucked the power out of with Black Alice. And they're just picking up artifacts because they're like, hey, we're awake now. Things are cool. We're going to help your asses. But with magic being wonky, with the Devil Nezha sucking these energies out and putting them in the Helm of Fate, do these have any power now? Because the Helm of Fate was destroyed and it fell like to pieces, and it was fallen to a Lazarus pit that's now shooting up into the sky, raining down typhoon, tsunamis and tornadoes.
I believe it.
What does that mean? We don't know. It's just a cool page. We see all these magical freaking people with their magical artifacts, but we got the Tower of Fate shit done. But ultimately, by the end of this alpha issue, it means nothing to us because we don't know what it means yet. But we have the situation now where I swear, at least the way I read it in Batman vs. Robin #4, when the Helm of Fate broke, okay, it landed into the Lazarus pit. And ever since that shit happened, it seemed like the Lazarus pit was all bubbling. And as the issue progressed, it was getting worse and worse until we eventually had the giant eruption.
You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of exactly of when the Button interacted with the Medusa mask back in the Button story, and it made things wonky. That's what it did. Well, it made them go to the Flashpoint universe. I'm just saying, that interaction, I thought of it as the Lazarus pits being that. Well, here's the play. This is funny, too, because if you're going to play this story out, you can go with a fudge that you didn't like. You have the Helm of Fate. That's magic, right?
Magic,
we can agree on that.
All the other all the other magic infused
all
into
that magic, right? What did Ra's then say the Lazarus pits were? He said they were science.
Science, yeah.
So I thought that maybe that's why magic and science are going wonky. And now you could still play that
That's why Joshua Williamson made that stupid retcon, even though it's infused with demons.
Exactly. I think that's what they're kind of going with.
He also said he invented the Lazarus pits, but they were around before that with the Devil Nezha.
I think it keeps going. And even then, they're playing this idea that, this volcano eruption, I think that's just to make King Firebolt being that much more bad. Well, that's the thing. That's what I was getting the idea. The way I read the last issue of Batman vs. Robin is that the reason that this erupted into this gigantic volcano is because the Helm of Fate broke and landed there. All the magic went wonky. Shit went real. Volcano happens. But in this one, that damn King Firebolt will cause that eruption. I'm like, did he? I know he showed up and things got worse when he showed up, but I never read it that way. Maybe they're saying it's like one of those down the lane, like he did this to cause that. But I think that really what you should be concentrating on, and they should spell out, especially if you're going to try to solve this, is the idea that the Helm of Fate shattered and went into the Lazarus pits. Whoever did it, whoever was the guy who ended up being the culprit of it, screw that. You need to figure out what that meant and why that went in. Yeah, so you really, that's what you have to worry about. And like I said, if you're going to go by science, Lazarus pits, magic, Helm of Fate, that kind of makes sense a bit going. Now, again, I have questions that I'll ask you because we end up, like you said, Batman, right before the big fight, he has the Helm of Fate on and he wants to protect that. I mean, pretty much it was a dog pile of magic users. They were just laying there on a pile in the corner. He ended up looking and he telling and that would be, as me and you were discussing this before, that would be the idea that the Helm of Fate would end up sending them to what would be his safe spot, which would be the Tower. It makes sense, the Tower of Fate. But again, it's like when you see this and just little things, it's not really affecting the story, but little things just felt off. Like, that's where, they got sent by this. Nothing felt like exactly
even
what
when we
saw.
The Helm of Fate all those times before Batman put it on and it got bad ears for whatever reason, because, Helm of Fate stuff. We saw all of those figures inside there, like they were the power, like the Phantom Stranger was trapped inside there. All these people who are magical based themselves feel like they were trapped inside the Helm of Fate. And is it when the Helm of Fate broke that all of the magic was released back out at once, maybe causing the magic to even go wonky because it's all released all at once? I don't know.
Yeah,
and
that's
book,
the things that
with all these issues, it refuses to tell me these things. Am I going to be strung along? Is this
I hope
something
that
you're
we
going to
find
pass
out
on?
some
It's
hard
like,
things.
we don't need to deal with that shit. Let's just have some big ass fight scenes.
My other big thing, and you end up having, like you like, it almost was the Battle of the Green, Eric, but they were kind of combined together. They were on the same
Why
side.
was this not the last 3 issues of Poison Ivy? Why didn't we have her team up with Swamp Thing and go to freaking Nandapar, not Nandapar, but freaking Nepal or something like that to get to Ra's al Ghul's secret lair with his wife? Because they're on the hunt now. The Green has been disturbed. Poison Ivy and Swamp Thing are teamed up there and they're taking on the Devil Nezha by themselves. I'm like, this is badass. This should have been the last issues of freaking Poison Ivy.
Imagine this. The idea that I say to you, listen, they extended Poison Ivy 6 more issues because she's going to team up with Swamp Thing to go after Nezha to go to Nanda Parbat. You'd be all excited. Instead, though, we never would have found out that Janet, she had a tumor on her liver and she needed health care. That's what we got. That is a missed opportunity. 100% missed opportunity. And if you really would have went in with the idea,
you had the times, you had the page space, you could have done this great tie-in.
You had the book. I mean, just because there's no Ram V Swamp Thing, you had Poison Ivy, and it was leading towards that. You could have easily had this happen and have Swamp Thing. And even if you want to do a backup as well, that Ram V comes and does a little bit of Swamp Thing backup to get Swamp Thing going. I'm telling you something. But what I really want to know is the idea where you really, and this is where I kind of have a disconnect with this. You end up where, hey, everybody, magic technology, it's going wonky, right?
Crazy.
But then suddenly Kryptonian powers are flipped upside down, but yet Power Girl seems fine, right? So you have that. But then at the end, after establishing all of that, they seem so pumped up to get these magic users back, but we already said that magic wasn't working. So what does that mean? And I thought to myself, this is how stupid I am. Oh, they're not wet yet from the Lazarus raid. So they're good to go.
Wet yet. We got to foreplay these fuckers up a little bit.
You're going to have parasols for each of them. You have somebody holding it and going around. There was a Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. I think had that concept. We could do that. There are things in this where I'm like, oh, that's cool. I sit there like, that's really cool. And then when I get to the point where I want an explanation, it seems to do the opposite at points, but not. Again, I want to say to everybody who might be listening to mine, I'm not saying that I think this sucks and I fuck this, I'm never going to read it.
At least not
I'm just confused right now. And as I hope that people on the Patreon might actually, know kind of RMOs and what we go. You know that it drives me nuts after one issue. I'm already yelling that they're not giving us enough. And then you end up saying it's only the first issue. But I can tell that you even feel that way a bit.
Because it's not just the first issue, because we have had all of this lead up, all into it, and it feels right now for this alpha issue, this prologue issue to our big story now that's been going on forever, it feels like. Things seem to be changing, and I have no idea what's going on in other certain areas. I'm like, I can't trust DC at this point in time to make sure they're going to give me the explanation that I need and not just pass past it because they want to get to more action and to some conclusion that is half-baked as all hell.
And that's the funny play, as I was going to say to you, like Mark Waid, we are enjoying the stuff that he's doing. But I can't say that we're really confident that that's what I mean. But it's a fun story. So I think that this could be a really fun, big, great story. But I think he's going to cut corners. He always has. He does it all the time. He ended up trying to explain on our site about how that world's finest continuity. He did. He made it worse. Trying to explain.
Look, the thing is, the Green Lantern hasn't had a fear of an immunity to yellow for a long time, so I didn't want to give him that. But it's a post-crisis world. I'm like, but Supergirl's still alive and Dick Grayson's still Robin. What the fuck are you talking about?
It didn't make sense, and he knows that. The guy knows that stuff, and he's just trying to force it in. But I think that this could be something really cool. I think I'll tell you right now what is my problem. I hate zero issues and I hate these alpha issues because I end up jumping in.
The Omegas.
Omega, then you either liked it or you didn't. You're like, fuck this. But it happened with Flashpoint Beyond. We end up getting that zero issue and I'm like, oh man. But then when I ask somebody like, man, didn't you want more? They're like, oh, it's just a zero issue. It drives me nuts. Like the alpha issue, this is just putting pieces into place. You are fudging some things. And what was weird is you're fudging some things that Mark Waid himself wrote. I can understand the stuff with, Joshua Williamson, the Robin book and things like that. He's going to try to fit it into a story. But some of the stuff felt a little wonky. Nothing, and that's Mark
I'm
Waid's.
still trying to figure out what that demon was that took on Connor Hawk after he won the Lazarus tournament, how that works.
I'm telling you, Mark Waid does have, what he has is a unique ability to cut corners, but still tell a pretty damn good story. He ends up where, yeah, you might get mad. Other people, when they start cutting corners, they're so over the top, and it throws out like a Bendis. You know, Bendis would just throw in, we said, every issue he couldn't get out of his own damn way of throwing things, and it would just throw you off. I think that Mark Waid's a lot better than that, and I think that when he cuts corners, I can only think that he wants to tell a story that everybody can get involved with, even if they didn't read the other things. He's trying to make things a little more easy to understand. He's not going to explain every little detail. So saying King Fireball, who is the big bad, did almost all the things, okay, we'll just go with it. We don't have to worry. Because it really doesn't change anything. It just felt weird because you feel like that you aren't being given like the props for having read everything and paying attention up to that. You feel like, really, why did I do that? If you're just going to tell me that.
I thought I was paying attention, and apparently the story wasn't leading me where I was supposed to go and how it was presenting itself. Like, all of a sudden, I'm like, yeah, King Fireball did it. I'm like, then why the fuck did I think it was the Broken Helm of Fate?
Yeah, I'm telling you, seriously, King Fireball hasn't even been that much of a crazy big, explain thing in the Monkey Prince book. We still don't really know. And now
he
lives
on a fire planet. That's not Apocalypse that pissing me off.
Bad now. Yeah, so you have some of that stuff in the backup, too, about finding out how you get the powers, and I'm going to eat an immortal, and all that stuff. Kind of felt weird attached to this.
Well, it was just stuff that you had in the regular Monkey Prince of catching things up with the idea of eating a champion, getting immortality from which we had with, the silver horn demon and stuff like that.
You know what's funny is, and you even said it too, one of the things that does crack me up a bit here is that Marcus, in his all ages type book that barely could keep, in the regular continuity, which again, we kind of separate. It was like the old Harley, the Palmiotti Connor Harley. It's in its own little pot, but now it's full out. And you can't have him be so wacky in this. You even said it earlier when he's talking to Black Alice, the idea where, oh my God, look at that. I don't know which one I like better yet. I actually really like the goofy Marcus.
I'm saying Marcus is great, but he doesn't have a lot to do here in the idea where it's like,
Damien shoots him
that's
down.
The thing is, like Monkey Prince is like, hey, what am I going to do? Like, you ride on a cloud and you fucking break your limbs off. What can you possibly do to help us at this point in time? It was funny as hell.
I mean, Damien's basically saying, you're a goofball. I mean, seriously, we don't need that. And I like that. And I do like their interaction a lot. What little you get, and even not just personal face-to-face interaction. I do like where Marcus is trying to make Black Alice feel good by saying that Damien isn't so much a jerk, but he is. And it made me
total
laugh.
Jerk.
It did make me laugh the way that goes. And I do like Damien stepping up. Also, when you're small like that, I know how it is.
Too.
I like how he gets up on top of that platform because he's a little guy and he wants to look like he's in charge. I do like that. And like even there, the art of his cape and all that looks great. But you have him saying, we need this deal. Attention, everyone. We have King Fireball. He's the guy responsible for these. There is a way to stop him. And really, it makes sense because Damien, of anybody, has the most interaction with Lazarus Planet, Lazarus Island, now Lazarus Planet, and all this stuff going on. I would have liked Monkey Prince to maybe get deferred to maybe explain a couple little things about this because he would know, but he's weird. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the problem. I wish he did know more so he could go because everybody's got to be sitting there like, what happened to Detective Chimp over here? Like, the guy looks like he's like a superhero now. Nobody would know him. So I like that. And you get, some cool characters that we don't usually get. Cyborg gets some play.
Cyborg and Blue Beetle teaming up here.
And Blue Devil being there is pretty cool. And I mean, seriously, you never would think of a team up of Blue Devil and Supergirl at all. That's pretty crazy. And that's why we like the things. But when they do go off,
you have a team up at the end here with Supergirl, Batman, Talia al Ghul, Blue Devil, Swamp Thing, and Poison Ivy taking on the Devil Nest. I'm like, look, I'm not going to say that I understand and like everything you're doing this with, but you have the intrigue because I want to see more of this. I'm just pissed off that we have that big world map where shit's going down, and you have all the different tie-ins that are going to be coming into this for the different stories with the characters and what they're dealing with. None of them have to do with Swamp Thing and Poison Ivy. Like, you had this great chance to have these two characters coming here, fighting for the green, doing their thing. But ultimately, we just have Devil Nezha going down because we need to take his ass down because Batman, He was magically healed by the Lazarus powers of Devil Nezha in the last issue of Batman vs. Robin by Black Alice, transferring the magic a little bit. And like, we need to use some of his power to heal because Batman's still all messed up from that big old fight with Damian Wayne and the Devil Nezha because he died at that one point in time. We even talked about it before, how many times Batman did. He died at the end of that issue too. We had to bring his ass back with like, Lazarus magic. Not the fluid because that shit would have boiled his bones to ash, but Lazarus magic with Black Alice. But now it's like, how are we going to siphon power? What's going to happen? Batman's like, look, no need. And you look over at Batman. His eyes are glowing green. He has all this black smoke around him. And now he is the devil Batman Nezha with this, he's become a bat demon now from this Lazarus magic. And I'm like, you have this on top of everything else. Does this tie into what happened to Deathstroke in Dark Crisis, where he went into the Lazarus pit, came out, and was
seriously, he looks so
bitch.
darkness there. I mean, that's what it looks like. It's another thing on top of a lot of other things that it's intriguing. I mean, this is something where, of course, this could be all explained and be the greatest thing ever. That's what I'm hoping. But in this issue, I'm just like, there's a lot going on here and a lot of side talk that I don't really, especially Supergirl. It's Supergirl's thing with her. And don't worry about the darkness. Now it's the light takes my. I'm like, I don't get it. Please, somebody. They have to stop and figure this out and let us know what is going on. But that Demon Batman looks incredible. It looks like a cover, in interior art. But
I feel like I've seen that cover.
Yeah, and it's like, probably with something involving the dark multiverse is what it would be. That would be
honestly, they had a lot of covers like this for like Batman, the Dark Knight, and the New 52 and stuff like that. Or even like, this crazy covers in the regular Batman and the New 52.
Oh, yeah. He's better than ever, Eric. So he don't look it. He looks a little odd, but we'll see. Again, Batman can fight the darkness because he learned how from Dick Grayson with the candle.
I broke that shit.
Yeah, really. He's like, I really could use that candle.
Well, everybody else is out there fighting the tornadoes and tsunamis. We have our teams broken off now, getting everybody out of the Tower of Fate, and our other team taking on the Devil Nezha, trying to cure Batman. That left Damian, Black Alice, and Monkey Prince back at HQ. But Damian's left alone in HQ by himself. This look at the monitor. He's on monitor duty, essentially, while this is going on. And King Fireball breaks in, and it looks like he wants to have a standoff with Damian. Like, don't I recognize you from the island, boy? You know my name.
You know me.
King Fireball.
It's just the King Fireball there, and it's like, man, he is the big bad, but now he's just there going after Damian. All right. I like Damian's Justin Bieber hair right before. That looks pretty cool. And, again, though, there you have Black Alice and Monkey Prince there as well. But one thing that did throw me off, and I even saw some people even react to it as well, it says, the war rages across the planet, DC Universe, Lazarus Planet. We'll go through the checklist when we're done this. But it ends up saying, then return to Lazarus Planet Omega to witness Damian's last stand. I'm like, so everything else is going to happen at the exact time of 2 seconds between these two fighting it out? I need more now. I want to know what happens there. So we'll have to see how that plays out. I like the idea that if you told Damian he was on monitor duty, it would be like almost like janitor or sanitation engineer. He would definitely be something in his mind more. I am the coordinator of this and that. Like, no, you're on monitor duty. But I do like the whole deal. And that seems pretty cool for Damian to get that. First off, having him in charge. And but finally, people, they were looking at Batman, but they're not saying it out loud. But finally, Damian's getting some respect.
Well, now you'll have the situation, too, where King Fireball, though, is pissed off at his father, adopted father, like Devil Nezha and stuff like that. And now Batman's taken on the appearance-ish and, powers of Devil Nezha from what it looks like. So is
probably
the situation
smells like him, too, right? Probably says that stank to him. Yeah.
But when you sit down with this whole thing, is it all going to be like Damian and King Fireball sitting down? Dads, huh?
I was going to say, all of a sudden, I didn't even think of that, where King Fireball is like, you know my name, call me King Fireball, or bro if you want. I mean, seriously, high five
they're
there,
both
pal.
Pissed off at their fathers all the time. They're just going to bro it out, talk about, man, I just got to get away from my dad. I know, right? Totally, he always wants to control me. Are
they smoking pot here? Because it sounds like they're sitting around smoking pot the way you're explaining this.
It depends on what state we're in.
Okay, well, we're in Colorado. So they can, then,
yes,
right?
The answer is yes.
Okay, so they're smoking pot, talking about things. Hey, man, it'd be funny. He's like, hey, man,
God,
what do you think?
Dad.
What do you think happens when you die, Damien? He's like, what do you mean think? I did die. Hey, That's
well, your dad takes your body
shit.
to Apocalypse and puts a chaos shard in you.
Exactly.
Then you get superpowers until they go away, and it really pisses you off.
One of my favorite things, though, is when Damien's talking to everybody. He's like, even though I'm talking, they're still looking over at my father. And before Batman says, listen to my son, I wanted Damien to say, listen, everybody, he's kind of fucked up over here because of me. So
Brain
look
damage.
at me. Like, look at this guy. I kicked his ass. Let's go. But yeah, it looks pretty cool. And even when he's there and he's standing tall and proud, looks like he is a little taller, right? And you have the volcano behind him there. It's like an action movie there. But yeah, and then they have to get into the Tower of Fate, and they try to blast it with a bunch of things. We talked about the Cyborg. He tries to get in. He can't. Yeah, Blue Beetle, he can't. And then finally, Mary ends up doing the Hail Mary deal that works. And when they end up opening it up, that's what got me there, though. The idea that all magic is, wonky and whatever. I don't know that me seeing all the magic users back with the a bunch of the different artifacts means that much at this point because of how magic is. But
again, I don't know what it means.
Yeah, I don't know. But I do like, you get a lot of different. I mean, this is, again, what we like with events and things like that, where I didn't think we'd see Tim Hunter in that. That's not our thing, right? Look at that Harry Potter motherfucker. He's there. He's ready, Eric. And you have all these things going down, and Zamfir's pan flute right there. You're going to have the pan flute. I might have to get one for myself as we go forward. But at the end, you end up where, okay, I'm interested. I want to see how things work out. But you have to start getting a little tighter with some of these things and start explaining what's happening worldwide. I hope that this doesn't become another one of those stories where we don't really see what's happening in the world. We're just centering on that real focus deal, because
what are you talking about? We have a big world
this,
map that said shit's gotten real.
I see that, but I'm saying if we were told that people are going to get powers and things, I need to see a little of that to explain what is happening to the Walkaday Joes and Janes, Eric. Is this going to be like the Terrigen Mist, right?
Joes and Janes.
The Terrigen Mist that's going around. Next thing you got him digging powers, you're doing crazy shit. But then we have a backup. And the backup, actually, it's weird. It's going to be like when we talk about the Flash and that barbecue. The backup gives something that me and you have been wanting, but it gives it in a way that really goes and flies by, and I wanted a little more attention to it. But it is Gene Luen Yang writing it in Billy Tin, so you end up getting pretty much the creative team, and people have been working on some stuff. So when you get into this, though, did you like this backup? Do you think that this is going to confuse people more? Because I think it might.
Chinese mythology is not something that I know a great deal about and stuff like that. Ultimately, it's what we, a lot of stuff that we're dealing with in Monkey Prince. I know, like the prequels and prologues of that series, it really did intrigue me, especially when we had the idea that Shifu Pigs is talking about, the Devil Nezha and your dad, Monkey Prince, they used to hang out. They used to be like brothers. And we see the idea here where the Devil Nezha at one point became a terrible figure that we know to be now. But then the gods gave him a sash to allow him to calm himself. So he looked like a human being, with Chinese god powers and stuff along those lines. And then him and Monkey Prince had to go off and save, a monk and do all these different things. And we had the idea that Devil Nezha was worried about the idea, is it in my nature to be this terrible, terrible person? Is it the sash itself that is just keeping me prisoner? And Monkey King's like, look, you fell off, you became your bad self. But when I told you do you want to put it back on? You put it back on. So there's your true nature. That's all you got to deal with. And we just got to go and take on this King Bull Demon and stuff along those lines, which ultimately takes us back to where we'll be in that Monkey Prince Zero, I believe it was, when we had Darkseid attacking the Chinese gods in the sphere of the gods, stuff along those lines. And we had the situation where King Firebull's parents are killed there. And we will find out here, even though that the Devil Nezha took out the King Bull Demon, he told them, look, if things went bad, because I say took out, but he's going to go off and redeem himself, which he eventually did, so he will fight with the gods. It's just a situation where it's like the Devil Nezha found a way to redeem himself. The gods let him redeem himself. The King Bull Demon, he will do the same. But it's going to leave his kid and wife behind for a little while. But when those two fell during the siege of Darkseid, it seems that the Devil Nezha at that point in time became the adopted father of King Firebull. So this is the situation where we have this backup here is giving you the background, which is getting all the animosity between King Firebull and the Devil Nezha and where it all started before things went bad. And I do hope that we continue on with this stuff, because we're getting more, I feel like, story out of this than we are for the entire Monkey Prince.
I just wonder that people might get a little confused. And the idea of, it's the son, and then he's going to turn himself into the king. You're going to get a bunch of things back and forth, which is okay. And I did say that Billy 10, usually it's Bernard Chang on the Monkey Prince, so it does look a little different. But you end up where, I like it. It actually makes it look more like a fable or something like that could be told. And so I don't mind it at all. And I do like, you end up having a couple things in here that I think would be important. The idea of Shifu Pigsy, his connection to what
being one of the bodyguards.
That sort of thing. And so you have these connections all around.
Monkey King's talking so much shit on him.
I know. Every moment he's like, he doesn't mean nothing. He doesn't mean. But that actually gives you a more of a play if you're reading that Monkey Prince book, because he is the guy who is there for Marcus. So you think of him as being a nice guy, and then you're like, Monkey King kind of comes off as a jerk with that, and I like that interplay, and I do like his connection to Nezha, and things might work out where, he's kind of controlled now and things like that. And even with Pigsy there, it's not really Pigsy, it's this little, clone deal that he talks to, and he's like, I'm actually, capturing. That gives Marcus the idea to go and try to save him and go and get connections with everybody else. So it makes sense that he's in the story. So it does end up working out. And like you said, you do get a good chunk of story that if you're reading The Monkey Prince, it's pretty cool. You understand everything. You get some connections.
And you get all this idea, too, about the demons and what it meant to be a demon in Chinese mythology, because all of these people, for the most part, seems to be all about redemption and redeeming yourself, because even Shifu Pigsy was a demon at a point before he redeemed himself to become a guardian and bodyguard of this, like, Ford Buddha and stuff along those lines.
Yeah. And I get fully the deal of, okay, Nezha, he's not always been bad, and he kind of might want to be good, and let's see how that goes. I mean, he's
got to get his sash back.
Well, he's pretty weakened right now with all the power going out, but he has a faint heartbeat. They say so he may be and should be a big part as we go forward. I actually just think that whole deal where you made the joke where King Fireball's like, okay, Damien, that's it. And then Nezha just comes in, listen, you were always my son. We're going to get that sort of deal. And Damien goes, Father? And I'm not talking to you, talking to the other guy. But I think that he'll come into play with that sort of thing. And I kind of did like that. And again, I like this whole issue. I'm a little confused of what's going on. I need to have things really spelled out. But this is, again, it's an alpha issue. That's why I said it drives me nuts. And with that, I think that when we were told about this Lazarus planet, everybody was all fired up, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, this is going to be great. But nobody really seemed to know exactly how this was going to play out, because I kind of thought there might be Lazarus Planet 1, 2, 3, 4. We'd have a main book a couple times. It's not like that. You have a bunch of different deals going, and it is weird. And I think you have a lot of number ones. I think that it's going to cause some problems. Yeah, it says Lazarus Planet on the cover with all of them, and mainly the deal, but it feels weird to go through it because we have this Lazarus Planet Alpha number 1. Then it goes to Monkey Prince 10. Then we have Lazarus Planet Assault on Krypton 1, Lazarus Planet We Once Were Gods 1, Lazarus Planet Legends Reborn 1, Lazarus Planet Next Evolution 1, Monkey Prince 11, Lazarus Planet Dark Fate 1. It just keeps going. And then you have what's weird, Lazarus Planet Omega number 1, and then we keep going. Batman and Robin 5, Lazarus Planet Revenge of the Gods 1, Wonder Woman, Lazarus Planet Revenge of the Gods 2, and then it just goes between Wonder Woman and this Revenge of the Gods, which it becomes fully the whole second half of this is a Clune-Red story.
It's so crazy, because even looking at Lazarus Planet Revenge of the Gods, where it's the Wizard Shazam is teamed up with the Quintessence to regain control of their champions. Shazam and Wonder Woman must work together to defeat the gods as they risk losing their powers for good. And that's a G. Willow Wilson story leading into the Clune-Red stuff.
Yeah, there's going to be a bunch of things. Okay, so there will be the Clune-Red stuff and the Wonder Woman and the other stuff leading in, and again, though, we're not really digging a lot of the G.
And if you think
Wilson
of Lazarus Planet, We Were Once Gods, and that's written by Francis Manipold, Dan Waters, Phil Kennedy Johnson, and Josie Campbell. It's like the gods are in for some big changes as Lazarus rain beats down upon the earth. Explore the Lazarus Planet's effects on DC Universe's extraordinary creatures and locations involving the Shazam.
So a lot of those are just it's anthology stuff.
Yeah.
Each one's going to write their little things, and I'm, personally, I hate those
Lazarus
type
Planet
of issues.
Next Evolutions, Ram V, Brandon T. Snyder, Chuck Brown, and Delilah S. Dawson.
Oh, Chuck Brown. What's this Delilah S. Dawson? In everything.
Up and comer.
Yeah, up and comer. Yeah.
The song on Krypton is going to be weird with Nicole Maines, C.S. Pacat, Frank Barbary, and Leah Williams.
Yeah,
with
Leah
the world
Williams
in chaos.
Doing the Power Girl stuff because she's going to be doing that in action.
With the world in chaos and Lazarus raining from the skies, the Earth's protectors from Krypton are hit hard, and the heroes will never be the same again. I'm like, are you going to tell us what it means?
Nicole Maines is Dreamer, so that'll be full Dreamer part of that too. They're the ones who write the Dreamer stuff now. So here's the thing. I mean, you now lessen my enthusiasm because the idea of having anthology books, they don't normally tell a coherent, full-out story, right? It's just little, hey, let's see this. So hopefully this is something good. I hope. I want to have something that I look forward to each and every week that me and you can get on and have our chuckles, right? Have some chuckles and enjoy it. But what would you give this overall?
Overall, it's a thing where I'm not excited about Lazarus Planet. I haven't been from the get-go because I just felt like the story felt kind of overly silly. But looking at this, it feels like it's going to be convoluted and a little too complex for what they're going to want to tell with all these different things, all these different writers taking it. I just feel like a lot of things are going to be lost in the cracks of everybody doing what they need to do for Lazarus Planet. And I can't tell you that I think that they fully understand what they're going to be writing about, except for some one-offs, hoping that it ties in, because we have that all the time with all these different tie-ins to big events, dating back years and years at this point in time. So this issue, though, for the Alpha, at least looks good, even though I think it would have been better with a more, I'm going to say mundane or just more house style, like DC artist, because that's what I'm personally into. But like, I like seeing these characters together. I want to know more just because you end on some cool cliffhangers. Batman's a goddamn bat demon thing. It's some cool stuff here. It's just, I'm not over excited, but I never have been. I just wish this would have done more for me overall. I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10.
I'm a 7. So I like it a little more than you. But again, when we're talking about this, the idea that, oh man, Mark Waid, he's killing it. Everybody loves World's Finest. Oh my God.
It's a weird ass fucking book though.
And so, yeah, but my big point is if you're saying that, and that's what I was counting on. Oh my God, I'm glad they're going with Mark Waid's vision. Is Mark Waid going to be able to tie all I mean, there's like 20 writers now. As you're explaining it, you just mentioned about 12 right there, and half of them I don't think are very good. So yeah, I'm worried. I'm worried the idea, because when we get this, just imagine like the idea of how Joshua Williamson got these crazy, tie-ins, that Dark Justice League, what's it, the Teen Justice, like that sort of thing, or the Worlds Without a Justice. Like none of them made any sense and work because they can't. Mark Waid's better at, but is he coordinating this, or are they just like, hey, write something?
And I'm telling you, from everything I've seen so far, it's just, hey, write what you want with this kind of like loose-based idea, and hopefully it ties in. And that's what we always get with all these different things. There's things that ultimately don't matter.
Eric.
It's got the Wolfman.
Sarah Wolfman.
That's why my upcoming event's the 1 Minute War.
Yeah, that's what Jess said. That's at like 11:30 tonight. She said
constant victory. No fighting.
Oh, I'm so depressed. I'm sitting there. I'm like, man, Mark Waid. And you start going. I'm like, oh shit, I remember. Waid. I'm like, oh, I do remember them saying there's a lot of anthologies. Oh shit. There you go. And seriously, if you're yelling about us. When was the last time we got an anthology book where every story was good? Most of the time, it's like 2 of 8.
That's why we don't do anthology books for the most part.
Yeah, because we had enough. But,
and they don't matter ultimately.
I'm still 7 out of 10. Oh my goodness!
I'm telling you, I hope that I'm telling you, every comic has a chance to wow me. I always have an open mind. I'm not going to go into anything hating it outright, and I'm not going to go into it wanting to hate it. I hope to jump into Lazarus Planet, whatever fucking thing we have next, and loving the shit out, because this is what I have in my favorite medium right now at DC Comics. I want to love it, so hopefully they come out and wow me next issue, and I get all the answers that I wanted here.
Well, Eric, next issue, as I said in that thing, is Monkey Prince 10, so we like that enough. We enjoy that.
I'm telling you,
it's funny, like all of a sudden, it's like all of a sudden the idea that we've been talking about every issue of Monkey Prince, and we kept saying, like, is anybody listening to that? Now it's the big book. It's Eric Shade's most important book out there. So we can deal with that. So we'll see. We'll see. I feel so sad now. Oh, but what's next, Eric? Pick it up here.
Next up, we have The Flash, number 790, written by Jeremy Adams, art by Roger Cruz, Matt Banning, Wellington Diaz, Luis Guerrero, and Rob Lee. And this is the beginning of our 1 Minute War, where apparently an alien race known as the Fraction have what seems like to me some of the Speed Force are using the Speed Force to go and conquer worlds before anybody can realize they've been conquered. And as we see in this, where all the Flash family are affected, or not affected, as the world freezes around it, it looks like, anybody who's connected is going to be able to fight this out. So you're going to have a story going forward for all our Flash family. Anybody who's connected to the Speed Force, it seems like, are going to be the only ones who are going to fight this fraction colony that are coming down to take over Earth before mankind even knows what happened to them.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, I'm not a huge fan of Roger Cruz's art. It works out. It's okay.
I'm telling you,
some of the characters' faces are a little off, and they seem scrunched up a bit, too, right?
Sometimes. I'm telling you, it threw me off at first because we usually have a different artist on the Flash book that I really enjoy, and when we jump into this whole thing...
Fernando Passaran, and we talked about that even before we started. I love his art.
But when I jumped into this, it did throw me off first with some of the character design, some of the looks on the faces, because, we right away get the thing that you and I have been wanting for the longest time, ever since we've realized that Animal Man's daughter's hanging out with Iris, and Animal Man lives down the street. We wanted the superhero family picnic in the backyard, the barbecue extraordinaire. And here we get it in freaking spades where we have, some Teen Titans characters. We have, Pied Piper showed up. We have all, I noticed, too, that Cliff's not here. So you think Cliff's still dead, Cliff Baker?
No, I look, Cliff, he's dead.
Yeah.
I don't think they brought him back. I think he's dead.
But anyway,
now, even before you go on, I did think that what was cool was they messed up one thing, though, because Rob Liefeld here, he should have had his button flies on. I'm telling you, Wally looks just like Rob Liefeld. I'm like, what's going on here?
It's not a deal breaker because I'm telling you,
no, it's not. It's not at all.
I got really into the style because it actually reminded me of a style that I was really into in the 90s reading Marvel books and stuff like I said in the 90s. But when you have the Pied Piper like Roy Harper, Donna Troy, the Bakers, you have, Mr. Terrific, and you have, Animal Man, part of the Bakers, obviously, but you have all of these characters coming together to have a nice animal-free barbecue because Animal Man, he's vegan and all that. It is just a nice moment. Even when, Jay and Iris run up to Maxine and she's like, oh, good, we can start our meeting. I'm like, oh, you scamps are going to be getting into some trouble. I can't wait
they're going to cause trouble. I love, too, that at least as you have, Buddy, Animal Man, he's talking about, hey, those are meatless. At least you can tell that he's, trying to grab onto the powers of the giraffe with that long-ass neck. So you end up, but it's cool. It is cool. But I do like seeing all the characters. And I'm telling you, the first thing that I looked at was, where's Cliff? I know,
that's the first thing I did, too.
I was hoping that Cliff was there. And that would be somebody for Jay.
The universe has been rebuilt how many times? Why can't Cliff come back?
I know, poor Cliff. That spider deal got him. You end up, though, with all this going on. I think that the art, to me, was just off in that barbecue a bit. And that's where you're getting... A lot of artists have this problem. When they're not in the costumes, sometimes things get a little wonky. Once you get Max, and then especially Impulse Bart, looks great. I mean, I thought that those look really, really good.
And even
really
when you
starts
have the
to feel
idea,
old school Impulse and things like that. Really played that deal up. I thought
you're using this first issue to really set up your 1 minute war and get all the Flash family involved. And right away, when you're doing the stuff that I want, right away at the barbecue, and then you give me stuff like Impulse and Wallace West Kid Flash interacting for what I believe is the first time. These are some really cool moments that I've been wanting to see for a long time, and for some reason haven't. It's the bitch of it. I'm like, you said it at one point, I think, at the beginning of the podcast, because we could never do shit in order, but it's always this thing where it's just, you get the thing you want, but it's not even too little, too late. It's just too little, and I want more now, but are we going to get more now? I'm so scared that we're not going to get more, because I want these moments.
Gets me. I know. The thing that gets me is, it's not one of those, like you're saying, you want more, but you kind of get the idea that this is just it. That, okay, we got the barbecue, that was cool, but why go back to that? I hope that at the end of this, they have a huge, but because the barbecues with the Flash family, that's a pretty consistent thing. They'd always have them going, and that was always when you'd find out, well, Wally's pissed, or Bart's doing this. And so I like the idea, and I hope that at the
peace with everybody.
Exactly. I hope that at the end, you have like a bigger one, and you go, because really, we've been wanting Bart to interact with Wallace since the end of Flash War from Joshua Williamson, when he popped up and he's like, hey, what's going on? And it's cool. And when he asks, I like them yelling and screaming at each other about, you're just jealous. You're jealous of me.
What?
I thought that was really cool. I really liked that. But yeah,
because ultimately they're both still kids.
Yeah, and what's happening is there's this invasion, and as these scenes go down, the scenes really end with the fraction freezing everything around everyone. And it just starts the story. You get pretty much
all the moments at that important time. Exactly.
The Flash family.
You run through the Flash family. When the fraction comes down with this giant kind of drill-esque looking invasion device, this stops time everywhere, and you just find out all across the world where the individual Flash families are and what they're doing as they react to what the hell's going on. Everything's frozen. And sadly, Barry Allen, who I was hoping was fucking off doing Barry Allen things in the multiverse still, he's finally having a heart-to-heart talk with Iris about where their future's going to be. And the worst part about this, I just had the same goddamn thing because a buddy of mine who swore he'd never get married again, he popped the question to our, his fiance now, has been a friend of ours for a long time. They've been dating for a long time, but he swore he'd never get married again. She wanted to get married. He wanted to have kids. She didn't want to have kids. And I feel like this is a way for him to, kind of like loosen the gears to maybe get some kids one day. But when you have this going on, he proposed, and for like a week after, Jess
you
was
were getting the stink eye?
She wanted to talk about the future. Why aren't we doing things like this? What does the future hold for us? I'm like, will you shut the fuck up and try to read a comic book?
You don't need that. You're doing the comic book.
But no, when you have all that stuff, it's like you get some good stuff with Barry Allen. It's just a shame for where this ended up. For some reason, I'm talking about the end of the book right now. I have no idea why. For some reason, I don't want to spoil yet. So let's go back. I'm going to leave you all hanging if you haven't read this issue yet. You get some great Flash stuff, though, starting this whole idea off where the entire Earth, and I want to say using the Speed Force, is frozen, where only our Flash family members are the ones who can still move around in this whole time stoppage.
Yeah, and even if it is the Speed, or they're just shutting down time, but because of the Speed Force, they're able to react. The Flash family is able to keep going, and you have, like we said, the kind of the deal, and you start with Max Mercury elsewhere.
Before we go forward, there's this one thing I want to talk about. I'm sorry, this is the stupid side that I need to say it for some reason. Do you think that Roy and Diana were the only ones invited, or do you think everybody else bailed?
Yeah, I think everybody bailed.
I say Diana, but Donna, Roy and Donna.
And the weird play is the question of like, hey, are you two dating because they are just there together and there should be more of them? And
I'm saying, do you think they're the only ones who are invited, or do you think the rest of the Titans bailed on Wally?
No, I think they bailed. I think they completely bailed on what they actually, maybe they found out Roy was there and they're like, I don't need that guy because he's
Roy's
drinking.
The best.
He's drinking though, Eric. He gets a little violent, right? I don't know. I actually looked at it. For some reason, I was upset that he might be. And that's how you get back to Houston, Eric, is what happens here. But I do like, all that going on in that little deal in Pied Piper. He's like laughing. He's like eating his deal there and whatnot. But yeah, I think that they all bail.
And even that, like, where's Captain Singh? Is he working? Did Hartley not invite his boboyfriend over?
Yeah, maybe he is working. I mean, this
are they
looks
still
like,
together?
I don't know why. I figured that this is a weekday during the afternoon. Like, everybody else
because
is working.
Michael Holtz there is like, look, the boss told me I didn't have to come to work today because he's coming to my barbecue on Tuesday at 12.
That's what I think. It's like Tuesday at 12 is what it is, and nobody else could get there. Yeah, that's the thing. He wanted to, and he invited everybody. But while he doesn't have a lot of scratch, even though it does seem like Holt is hooking him up, and actually hooking him up with everything they're eating there. But I think that, everybody's working. That's why Singh isn't there. It would have been awesome if Singh was there. That would have been really nice, to really get
I love the barbecue,
together.
But I feel like it could be filled out a little bit more with a little bit deeper continuity from stuff we've had previously, just with random characters.
My problem with the barbecue is I wanted something where there were so many people there in their little groups that Wally had to go between each one, and then you actually got a little bit of a scene with each person going there. And you kind of get that in one splash page, but I wanted a little more, so hopefully they go back to that, like we said.
I'm telling you, once the 1 minute war is over, we get right back to the barbecue, and we pick up where we left off, where Wally starved from everything they went through.
And really, what better way to have a cool-down issue after a big event than have a barbecue? That would be cool. And when you say about the Speed Force, there is a deal, because they end up feeling the idea that something's wrong. Everything's staticky. We're getting that. Even Irie's like, well, what is that? What did I hear? And then everything stops. And that's pretty cool. Now, I hope that everybody who is there in these little groups, I hope they stay teamed up a bit together, mostly because I want Kid Flash and Bart to stay together. I want them to team up throughout. But you would figure they're all going to kind of converge on one spot and figure out what is happening. But like I said, we get to the...
Because, Jessie Quick's by herself.
Yeah, Jessie Quick's just by herself. And there was a weird play in that where when you had her talking and then she was kind of behind that kid, I thought that she was frozen too. I'm like, wait, why would she be frozen? She's talking. But she's trying to do her deal, and you have Lion's Mane.
Taking on Lion's Mane with
cool.
Hour
That's
Man.
pretty cool. Yeah, that's a pretty cool
Hour
team
Man
up right there.
Badass here. I'm like, where's our Hour Man and Jessie Quick book I want now? I know we're not getting them in the J. I say, let's get an Hour Man Jessie Quick book. That looks fun as hell.
And I like, again, anybody in the costume I thought looked really cool and looked like they were back in time and things like that. So here it is. You have this deal where Max Mercury, he's going to go off. He's like, okay, I'm going to attempt to go into mystery. I'm going to
go and do Max Mercury bullshit.
Yeah, he's like, I don't have anything to do here. Nobody deals with me. He
I'll say
doesn't
goodbye to
seem mad.
Bart, but he'll see me in the future. That I'm going to wait a minute. The Earth has no future, because at this moment in time, everybody, as time stops around them, whether they notice people snooping, it's all at the moment where they do notice the landing craft coming down the sky that looks like a giant lawn dart that's going to penetrate Earth.
Yeah, it does look like a lawn dart. They're not allowed to have those anymore. They cause too many injuries. So
look, we don't have pussies in space.
Jesus Christ.
That's right.
But yeah, you end up, even when they're doing this deal, I like this idea where Hourman does his lion's mane. And Jesse Quick's like, batters up. He's about to smash him, and then everything freezes for Lion's Mane. I mean, we have to get back. When everything unfreezes, I need Lion's Mane to just go flying into something there. Like, take out a whole crowd.
At least he's not going to be batted. It's fine. He's good.
That is true. You would like that a little more. So all that's going on, and then you do have Wallace, Kid Flash, and he is stopping what looks like, some trafficking, because when he says, well, it's weird because like, here's the goods, and he says, oh, I took them back to where they're safe. So there has to be trafficking.
Look, I don't know if it's my sweet boy mentality, but I'm like, I just took the things that you stole back to where they belong. But no, you're totally right. These are human traffickers, pieces of shit.
It's bad. They're pieces of shit. But
I
love
that
the
lamp
idea
you stole from that one house. I put it back.
Here's Wallace, who, like, this is him stepping up. We don't see much of him doing stuff on his own anymore either. So he's there and he's like, listen, he's talking
to the kids now.
Yeah. So he's like, listen, I took your merchandise back. And as he's doing it, Bart just comes and just levels all of them in a second. And it made me laugh. It really made me laugh. And he's like, oh, hey, when he gets done, he looks over. Oh, didn't see you here, Kid Flash. What's up? You saw me.
It's the stupidest and worst thing ever, because I'm telling you, Jeremy Adams has brought me so much joy in this series. Not everything has been like hit it out of the park home runs and stuff like that, but all of it has been like entertaining and good for the most part. But things like this, I'm afraid we won't get going forward if he's not on the book, where we've had like something that I've loved, where Wallace and Wally are teaming up as Flash and Kid Flash. Never thought I'd get that. It's fun as hell. I need more of that. But now all I want is Wallace and Impulse to team up and just do Kid Flash and former Kid Flash stuff, because these are fun characters to hang out together who are opposed to each other because I think each one of them is jealous of the other. Yeah,
I ended up where I'm going to have a video. It's kind of, part of this. I'm going to have a video about why I think manga is a good solution to some things that are, complaints for Western comic readers. And that's one of them. That's one of them, though. The idea that you do have that constant change of creative teams, and when you do change, everything changes. There, you'll take the important things or the big things, but little things like that just kind of gets pushed aside because the new person comes in. They want to tell their own story, other characters and stuff.
I have no idea that Jeremy Adams would want to continue a story with Wallace and, Bart because they're here, but because I see it here, I want more. And if I think he's off the book, I just don't think we'll ever get to see it again, even if it's not even on his radar to do it. I mean, wouldn't it be great if everybody in the Slack and the Get Fresh crew, we have these issues of Jeremy Adams not getting a lot of props, so everybody's upset. All it has to do or take, where it'd be a shame if he's off of the Flash book, but then they go, oh, by the way, he's on a Teen Titans book, or he's going to have this new deal, and then all of a sudden you have this, and then we find out, wait a minute, Eric, he was setting that shit up, here, where we get these things. Would be kind of talk to us then. Yeah, it would be cool. I wish that I could tell you that that's something he told me, but he did not. But that would be a kind of a cool deal. But I love them together. It's a neat play. We've wanted it all along. It's something that they both get to interact in a way that we haven't seen, and I want more of it. So I hope they stay together, because everything freezes then. And so they end up, hey, what's that? What the heck is that up in the sky? As you see this topsy-turvy thing coming out. Is it a plane? The long jar coming in from space. No, it's a fraction. You do end up then where you go to Jay Garrick, who's a drunk. There you go, Eric. And that's the worst part. It's the middle of the day, like we said. It's a Tuesday afternoon for all we know, and all of a sudden Jay Garrick's in a bar drinking. And it's not even that. It's another Jay. It's not like he stopped by and he's like, one drink. Well, might as well. Another one. I mean, seriously, you don't speed force and drink, I think. But he ends up where also... They have a fast metabolism. It takes more than one drink. I'm looking at this place, too, and I'm like, okay, it's a bar, right?
looks like the guy has maybe corn muffins or cornbread on the one side. I swear to God, Jay is eating bacon, so it might be breakfast. And then
look at the other one. I think it's a cheese
layer
wheel.
Cake? What is that? What is this bar? It's so
you know
weird.
What? This bar seems amazing is what it is.
It does seem. I mean, a bar with like either I said a layer cake or a cheese wheel. You got some corn and you
Central
got
City's
mustard
great.
there for that other stuff. Holy crap, this is cool. Also, I want to point out, nobody else seems to be in the bar when we're looking at them right there. I think when it freezes, we see other people. Maybe?
Yeah, they're sitting there.
Yeah, we
eating.
do. It's funny because while we were going, I really want to say that it's like because it's 11 in the morning. Nobody is there. Jay opens and closes this here joint, but he's there. He wants more. Really,
Jay
he's
looks
pissed
younger
off
than he's
at
been lately.
Yeah, what's it? Yeah. Also, he looks pissed then when he can't get that last drink.
I understand.
He's mad. I mean, this is where he's going to be like, I got to stop these aliens. You know, I'm going to start getting the shakes. But yeah, he looks out.
You say that, but now he doesn't even have to pay.
That is true. He gets,
I can't even say that because the liquid stopped.
Now, would you think less of him if he looks out, he sees the jart coming down, and then they pan back and he's licking the frozen alcohol like he could get it out of the air there. He's licking it. Would you think less of him?
Because I think less of myself when I look in a mirror all the time.
Yeah, that's true. There you go. And then, it's funny, too, because he does look younger, but then you go to Barry, I don't even know that Barry, but it's okay. When you get that, I thought, oh, my God, it's Barry. And yeah, this is, like you said earlier, the thing that comes up in a lot of people's, lives, the idea of, and I like that it's kind of a wink, wink, too.
And especially coming after Dark Crisis.
Yeah, and hey, we need to figure this out and whatnot. And I remember how you ended up having Iris playing it real cool. Like before, but no, she's not playing it.
Well, that's the thing. Linda started yapping in her ear, gave her some ideas, and now she's pressing the issue.
That's all I want. When she says this, I'm like, she's talking to Linda again. Holy crap. And again, this is something that almost every run that includes a, and this is more of a Wally book, but anything with Barry is always going to get back to this, and they never, ever end up having
as it should.
Off, because then you get a new creative team, or you get a new reboot. Or
not only that, because it's just, even the Barry stuff alone is just so fucked up ever since Flashpoint happened into the New 52 because we have so much of the old continuity back. Everything matters. One of those situations. But like Aquaman, Barry seems to be stuck in this last 10 years, and that's it for everything, his entire Flash run, what they did. Even the idea of the Crisis doesn't even feel like it's this Barry anymore for everything that happened, because even the return with like Flash Rebirth and stuff for where Barry and Iris are right now, this just seems like New 52 Barry, and we're moving on from that relationship where they finally got together in Rebirth, and they had an on-again, off-again situation where it's like, let's talk about kids. I'm like, I don't even know where the Tornado Twins fit anymore. Is it just hyper time now?
Me and you were just talking about that the other day when I ended up saying something about the Tornado Twins, and you're like, well, we don't know this. It's true. And that's the weird play of it. You kind of know that this will happen. I mean, whether or not, we're here now on the reboot, whatever, but eventually they will get married, have kids, but you want to see it. You want to get to that. And I like that. Barry is my Flash, mainly because he was the Flash at the New 52 when I started. And you're right, like, even since then, it feels like he's progressed like nothing.
He's running in place.
Yeah, he is. He's a speedster who's running in place.
I did it, guys.
He's running to stand still, Eric, is what is happening.
Running in place.
That is a U2 song. But yes, you did it better. I'll give you that. But yeah, so I like this conversation. But again, this is where I'm starting.
Not even the conversation.
You're worrying me now again. Because
not
now
even
I'm
the
thinking it's not going to happen. Because of Jeremy Adams.
Because not even the idea of let's talk about the future.
What happens at the end of this, too.
Iris is pushing the issue because she's not going to wait for Barry because his ass is standing still. She has the ring right there. She wants to make this shit official right here at fucking noontime on a Tuesday.
Tuesday. She's going to do it. But yeah, you end up where you want that, but then you got to throw something in. And I thought it was going to be
the greatest cliffhanger I have seen in a long time, honestly.
I thought Patty Spivot was going to show up and say, "What about me? What's going on here, people?"
Where is Patty? Did she move Metropolis? I forget.
Who knows? I forget. Patty. Patty, hot and heavy. Again, something that drove people nuts, that Patty stuff. But
not as much as Superman and Wonder Woman.
She wants to, get this deal, and then she ends up getting, almost destroyed in the way that I'm like, is this kind of like an Alan Scott thing with the ring is now going to be like she's dead. And he's going to use that ring to funnel the speed.
No, the thing is right now, because
screaming.
When we have this long, dark, like, invasion party coming down, it hits the earth and then it opens up with all these things. It shakes the ground, it shakes all the cities around it, destroys all of this shit for how large this, this vessel is that the Fraction has in this colony coming down to take over Earth. Barry, like, where they're eating, it's completely destroyed. He has to quickly dig Iris out of the rubble right there. She looks dead. But is it a situation where she looks dead because of what's going on now? Because time froze before this happened. So is it just she's going to be okay because time froze before this, even with time freezing, you can still have wreckage for some reason. I don't understand how it works.
And you could move her around, but he's going to have to do something right into
with the Speed Force at this point in time. We get done this, everything snaps back into place. We get her ass to a hospital, quick as you can as the Flash, and we save her life instantaneously because her body hasn't been affected by all this rubble yet because time freezing. But it's a great fucking cliffhanger.
Linda starts she's going to give birth. They end up going there. The Speed Force transfers over to Iris in the hospital, and then we get that cool-ass costume again from the new 52. She's got the powers. But, again, though, it's crazy. But I do think that you actually have cracked the code. I think that she ended up freezing before. And there's Barry, because I was even going to say Barry is reacting as if she's dead. Yeah. And Barry's seen some dead people, not even just as a superhero, but as his job, forensic science. Like, he might know what's going on, but I think that maybe she's just frozen and he's not really sure at that point. And even
the idea where we go off and do a 1-minute war against the Fraction, where all the Earth is standing still as the Flash family comes together to fight this threat on their own, in the back of his mind the entire time. As soon as it's over, he has to get back there immediately to save Iris's life. I'm like, I can't wait for that, because even the concept, I was actually wary about it when I heard about the 1-minute war doing Flash Speed Force stuff, because whenever you bring up the Speed Force, it tends to get wonky because you can do whatever you want.
It's always that, yeah.
Unlike Lazarus Planet, this has me captivated with all the things that we have right now, where we have to go with all the ideas that all these characters have going on at this moment in time. Not to mention Jay Garrick with the idea, who knows what's going on with the idea of his daughter with the lost children and the Stargirl stuff right now. Is that weighing on his mind as well? There's all of these things with all of these characters that are presently going on. I want to see them all doing stuff, and I can't wait to get back to this, even with a weird alien race that wants to invade the Earth for the millionth time with Speed Force-esque looking powers for technology. I'm like, you done did it. I care about this book way more than Lazarus Planet.
I'm looking at the deal, and then I'm thinking, like, another little twist would have been if there wasn't the wreckage and all this is happening, and you end up having Iris is like, what the hell just happened? And then oh my God, she still has residual Speed Force in her, Eric, and do you want some? So then I got sexy. What I was laughing at, though, when you were talking, because I was paging through just to make sure I see what's going on, because, like, Mr. Terrific and Buddy, they're all frozen. They don't have, so I'm looking at the positions they were in. I was hoping that'd be like really crazy positions. And even Maxine, she's there. She'll be frozen. Like, it's kind of cool to see how they're situated, and they'll still be there as the heroes. So when everything is done, they legitimately still are at the barbecue. So I think you get back now. Do you go back after this and just pretend nothing happened?
Yes.
Like all of a sudden you get into places, people.
All of a sudden, you'll just have the rest of the Flash family at this barbecue. Everybody's all bewildered, and they're all starving right now, eating all the food.
Do you think they'll be like, all of a sudden, like, when did they get here? Holy But the funny play is, that's the fun, say that, and it would make sense, because they're all Steve. They could just show up out of nowhere. That'd be pretty cool. I want to see that at the end. I think we will. I think the last scene will be them
with this,
having the picnic.
Is when that machine is just like destroying everything around it, and there's all this rubble, cities are breaking, stuff like that. And Wally is running for the kids right now because there's all this rubble coming for them. But at that one moment, it almost just feels like, I just don't know if Wally's running super fast, because obviously the fastest man alive, but the kids seem like they're frozen at that point in time. And I'm wondering I don't expect them to be, but what's Linda doing at this point in time with her connection to the Speed Force through her pregnancy?
That's what I'm saying. Maybe we'll get Speed Force baby come out. And what happened if all of a sudden they're there? Because we really don't know exactly what, the Empress is waiting. They say the colony is that. Maybe they're after the Speed Force baby. Stand up, they're going to get that, right? I don't know.
No.
I like that outfit, though. I like their outfits.
I also just really like the idea of Barry and Iris doing stuff, because it feels so long since we've done anything with Barry. And not even just Barry and Iris, but Barry in general. Because, he's just been off doing,
he's always been off doing
crisis stuff. Exactly. And we haven't I want this book to be Wally focused, the West family focused, because that's the Flash I care about. But I also care about Barry. I want to see what his ass up to, and I like seeing him here, even if it's through the worst possible situation ever with Iris looking like she died.
Yeah. I mean, that's crazy. And I think that they kind of go on that deal, which is kind of cool in my mind.
I don't give a shit about Max Mercury.
Well, Wally fans would kind of be like, oh, we don't really need, Barry in here. Oh, my goodness. But you end up where you have something where everybody would care about that with Iris. Also, I was looking because there was something this whole time I was thinking, and those aliens, I swear to God, they look like those outfits that they ended up having in something that came up in the Slack today in Justice League Odyssey. With those big circles in the middle. I'm like, oh, look at those.
You have the fraction here, but they all look like different alien races. I swear the one was a Tamaranian, but I don't know.
Yeah, and they're the fraction. There you go. They have the... Do they have the...
we don't know enough about them yet.
Fractal things or whatever in that stupid Legion of Superheroes. What were those things called? The little placards that came up that were named after
I just know
that fraction.
Exactly. That's all I could think about when they called themselves the fraction.
I hear fraction. I'm like, here he goes again. What are we going to get? Jimmy Part 2? That ended up winning. Holy crap, Eric. What's the world coming to? But I did like
every book that we drop gets an Eisner.
That's really one of the main things. When they have the whole deal, hey, which books did Eric and Jim start? Okay, let's put that up to just piss them off. Because I'm selfish. I think everything runs through us.
If there's some gambling site, you tell it, you just go off this. Like, which one did they drop? Go over there.
Well, there again, you could also then say in a weird way to diss us, it's because you don't like the great Tom King. Because he gets a lot. Maybe the Human Target will win something. I don't know. We dropped it there.
I'm sure it will.
Yeah, probably.
Angel Street's going to win all the fucking awards.
It's all of them. They can't sell an issue, but seriously. That Human Target isn't selling very well either, but I heard some things today. I was getting upset about them. I end up with poor Rocky. He enjoys Tom King now, and I just yell at him.
Again, you were telling me offline how you were all upset about this jerk you're in a fight with, and
that was not Rocky.
No, it wasn't Rocky. No, I'm saying that the idea was Tom King based, and I just
figured the jerk.
Well, that's the thing. Did you just go to that guy's thing and he was saying he liked Tom King and he started a fight?
No. He ended up tweeting something that I didn't even know what he was doing, but I ended up doing the Back Issue podcast with Mark Jager, and I ended up in that issue. It was the one where you get the Superman without the powers. So he has that suit that we have with the Boy Thunder on it. So, you have that. And he calls himself the Nova. Well, in it, Batman ends up knocking out Superman. When he takes the mask off and realizes it's Superman, he goes, "Great guns! It's Superman!" And I made a jokey tweet with that picture. And I said, Batman is against guns except for, surprise excellence, some sort of deal. It was weird to me that Batman would say "great guns."
I agree. It's a weird thing to say.
So I put that on there.
At his arms?
And then actually, I made that joke. So you end up though. Then this guy, he quote tweets it and to like 3 other people and go, "Look at this! I told you." And I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Almost like they were saying like I was copying off him. I didn't get what he was saying. So I went to his thing, and then I saw the guy this tweet he had for the Bat Burger. And he's like, "There's nothing better than this." And then I put the Odenburger and put "except that it was stolen." And then the guy started arguing with me about Tom King stuff. And I wasn't really arguing. I just said, "Hey, that's the deal." And then the guy told me to pound sand. So I wanted to pound his face. And then he was saying shit on us. Yeah, that was the thing. When he starts saying shit about Eric Shea, then I get mad. Usually I'm like, okay, I get mad. But when they say something about the show or you, then I get mad. Yeah, really, that's the deal. So I get a little upset then. I also don't like when people, just because their avatar, I've said this before, we have a podcast about DC Comics. That doesn't mean that we're the be-all, end-all, and you better shut up when I talk, right? That's not how it is.
Right now. Wait till you get online,
in my head, I get angry. But it's not that. I don't sit there and say we're an authority. Just because people think that they have a Batman avatar and that means that they are the end all be all of Batman. That's not the case. So this guy was pretty much just telling me that I should shut my mouth because he has a Batman podcast. I'm, oh, really? Let's see about that. Right. So I ended up and I took down his podcast. That'd be great. I just ended up somehow. But no, I'm like, okay. And then he's like, listen, this is for an appreciation thread. You can go back to your time. I'm like, oh, can I? Thank you so much for allowing me to go back to my feed. Thank you, sir. I just got mad there. I was already in a bad mood. Shit has gone wrong at this house this week in a mega way. And even while we were recording, I ended up getting a note. You can even hear here.
Oh, shit.
You hear that? Just in.
Breaking news.
Got a note from Tony that makes it even worse. So, that's the worst. So, pretty much my life is a shambles right now. But hey, here we are. And yeah, you're even there to say this is not, my normal, like, making up shit. Shit's gone wrong. So, we'll have to figure that out. Yeah, really. So, it's not a surprise, but it's still wrong.
I'm honestly shocked it took this long.
That's true. I should just tell everybody I'm pregnant. But we have all this going down. And again, this is part of my whole mindset now that we talked about this a little. When I went in to read these comics, hearing that the Lazarus Planet was so great, I really thought, okay, this is why I read comics. It'll take my mind off of shit. We'll get going. And then I'm glad when we came on, me and you talked a little bit before, because a lot of times we don't. And I kind of got what you thought, because I thought maybe I was in like this dark place and it was just me. Like I was like, I'm just not loving anything or having fun with it because of that. But I am having fun with The Flash. I think that this was really good.
I read Lazarus Planet and I'm like, but then I read The Flash. I'm like, no, it's not me, because this is a good ass book.
Yeah, this is in a funny play. It's like the opposite of what everybody seemed to be saying in the Slack, that they were like, I read Flash first, and it's okay. But, man, that Lazarus Planet was awesome. We just have the opposite. It's so funny,
because it's not even like preconceived notions, because like Lazarus Planet, when I think I said it previous, but when I saw the 1 minute war, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to like this. Just because of the gimmick aspect of it, like, it's all going to take place in a minute. Speed Force nonsense. I'm not about that, but this first issue, you got me hooked. I can't wait to read the next issue.
I said about the things with, like, I knew what they claimed the Lazarus Planet was going to be about, and we laughed about it. You're going to have these storms, you're going to have this, and maybe we found out too much too soon, and it kind of skewed. Like, I wanted to see more of that, walk-a-day Joes and Janes there, but I didn't hear, like, DC is terrible at pushing this Flash book. This Flash book, people like to get Fresh Crew, and other YouTube chat, like, it's getting so much good word of mouth, and DC is not realizing that they might have lightning in the bottle here and start pushing it in a way that more people would read it, because DC, whether it's this regime or not, they fucked up Wally so bad that people won't even get involved in a book that redeems him and gives everybody. I said it on the Thinking Critical YouTube deal. This is a rebirth book that just happened later for Wally. It feels like this is what this rebirth, Wally West, number one, it should have been this. It should have been then. And now we get it, and people are so just turned off by DC and all their other nonsense that they're not giving this book a chance. In the lesser thing, I think that Action Comics has that problem too. But Action Comics, we're not loving it like this. This book is like, but now we're excited about it. Like, it's such a weird play. You have Dark Crisis End, you have this coming up. I'm sure that people are sitting there like, oh, what, another event? But it's just in this book. It's not like that. So I think that, but, we're worried about already. You said it. I started talking that Jeremy Adams isn't going to be around long enough, and we're not going to get payoff to some things, and that sucks. I want this to be like Joshua Williamson. He got 100 issues. Jeremy Adams should get 300. If that's the case, because that thing was falling apart all over the place there. People still love that Joshua Williamson run. And man, that was another, like, how many books do we have that I sit there and like, man, that was a book that people used to yell at us about. It's like every book. But it is the idea. When you're honest about each issue, you get yelled at from every direction because you don't like that one issue. Oh, you hate them.
Everybody has a fan. Everybody's a fan of something.
Everybody has a fan. I wish I did. I'm pretty hot in here. I need somebody to cool me down. See, people learn the English language as it should be spoken. We're not the Queen's English here.
We're not, no.
No, we are not. So I think that there's some weird podcasts. There's a manga podcast I told you that, yeah, really. And also the People's Princess Diana, R.I.P. here. I ended up telling you that well, now she's kind of back in the news a lot with Harry. So
it's crazy.
Who knows? R.I.P. You end up our one manga podcast, our podcaster Spy Family, is like 80% of listeners are from Japan. I don't know that they need to learn English or me and Luke. They probably know better English than us, so that's good. Luke, though, he just oohs and ahs, is what he does, so they're good there. I could just imagine a bunch of Japanese guys walking around going, ooh, like Luke. He'll get kicked out of the country. Ooh. Luke has some weird little grunts and groans, which I love that Stork has made a full soundboard for them.
That's amazing.
He's got the full soundboard, and it is pretty good. That guy's drunk, and I don't mean Luke. I meant Stork. There's a little shout out. I know Stork will get a kick out of that. Yes, Stork. I laughed too, just as an aside, because I know Stork is listening. I end up where me and him recorded a Chainsaw Man, back to the manga deal, and we recorded that, and I get done.
Let's start watching that.
And I saw it's you'll like it. You will. I mean, it's really good. And you're
I hear
talking
nothing but
about
things.
Yeah, and I know you won't read the manga, so just the idea, I think that you would really, really enjoy it. It's well done. Then you and Jess really should watch Spy Family. I think you would really like that as well. It's a real cool setup. But I got done recording with Stork, so I'm like, okay, Stork, I'll see you later. And then and Tanya goes, who were you recording with? And I said, oh, it's Stork. And she goes, what's his real name? And I'm like, fuck if I know. I said, I've only been podcasting and talking to him for a couple of years. Like, how am I going to figure that out?
I barely know your name, honey.
And in the same deal, then she goes, oh, well, what? And I explained, well, Luke couldn't do it. He said, oh, where does he work? I'm like, what do you think? I didn't know that. I didn't even talk. Stork
What's his mother's name?
Stork asked me, I think, while we were recording, oh, what's Luke's job? Or it might have been after or before. And I'm like, how do I know?
At this point in time, I think she's just trying to get their personal information.
Yeah, really. Maybe she is. We could use that. You can't have more things go wrong. Why not? So all of that going on, just there's a little tip. Keep your personal information away from anyone. But there you go. We'll end up with that. I should call her in, but she's so upset. She'd probably come on crying. I guarantee you. And then I'd be really upset.
But Jim, one important thing, though. What is your score for the Flash 790?
My score is I know that you're going to go, I think you're going to go 8 out of 10. And I think I like it a little more than you. So I'm going to go 8.5 for this one. What do you give it?
I'm giving it 8.5 out of 10. I really enjoyed this issue and can't wait for the next.
Oh, my goodness. I'm 9, like I said. No, I think I'm an 8.5. And it's one of those where I think
wasn't 8 until I started talking about it. Then I wanted 8.5.
Yeah, I got all excited. Actually, I thank you and Jeremy Adams for getting my mind off of nonsense. So that is pretty cool. Also, I also have to do a bunch of Marvel stuff, and I'm dealing with that dark web nonsense, and that's bad. Oh my God, that's the
thing is, I'm reading DC Comics and stuff I don't like, but it could always be worse. It could be Marvel.
Yeah, Marvel has some good, but Marvel, it's weird. I was talking to somebody about it. DC has like some real top tier books, and then they have some real shit, and then Marvel shoves everything in between. It seems like how it is now. And I'm like, all right, I get a full range of nonsense. Just take Clumrad over to the Marvel, and then they'll have the shit books too. Also, Eric, Love Bomb is not, it's mentioned in the Wonder Woman issue as the cliffhanger. Next, the Love Bomb.
Okay,
the song is already in the process. Nice. It's already in the process. The one night granted, the first time I went through a trial run, which I usually do like a trial run where I actually sing the actual song to a karaoke deal, so I know.
That's fun. Why wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, and I know how the pacing goes, but also if I could do it. It was at 3:30 in the morning, and I got yelled at.
Asshole.
Because now I'm up if I was in the basement still, it'd be fine. I could have done that till the cows come home, but I'm up here, not even realizing, and I'm telling you, that's not a song you sing lightly either. No. It's really loud. You have to belt it out. And I got yelled at, but I think I can do it. I have the lyrics ready. I need to get my voice. Didn't you get everything in the basement
fixed though?
Yeah, but it's the idea of, remember, I got it fixed, and then I went back down with the one computer, and because there's still all that nonsense down there, the computer broke, and I don't want to chance that again, especially now. So eventually I'll go down.
I was just wondering, like, what's the grace period for that?
I went down, and I had to, vacuum shit off the roof and stuff, and I was doing that, which might have kicked some shit up and got in, but the soot.
Did you get like a stool with wheels? How'd you get around up there?
No, it's a low ceiling. It actually is. You probably wouldn't be able to stand up.
No, I probably wouldn't.
You're not a stand-up guy anyway.
No,
but you end up where
I'm a sit-down guy through and through.
It seemed like some soot got in the computer, and again, it shut it down. Though I was so worried about the soot that every time I would use the computer, I'd get the spray. Like when I wasn't using that to huff, I'd end up getting the spray can, but it kept going to liquid. You know, like when you use that, it shoots liquid. First off, I thought that I froze my finger. I also shot the liquid in the computer. I think that might have fucked it up. I couldn't tell, but I ended up
always use a paper bag, Jim.
Every time I was recording, when I was done, I would make sure I would leave the computers on, they'd go to sleep or whatnot, and so I'd keep, stuff in my Audacity that I didn't finish, but I have now turned off the computer every night. But at that point, the one time I didn't, I was doing something, I wanted to take a shower and then come back. When I came back, the computer was dead. So I'm worried to go down there. I will eventually again. Or I was telling Tanya that I need like a spare computer to do my singing, and then I take it down there. It'd be pretty cool. A singing computer I have, but I don't have that yet.
No.
The way things are going, I ain't ever gonna have it.
No.
But, yeah, it's good times. It's good times. Oh my God, it's funny to laugh about it, Eric, because if you're not, you're crying about it. But just as another thing, I'll be leaving tomorrow morning to go get my license renewed.
Nice.
Imagine that. I'm going to get my license. I
don't think I've done that in 15 years.
It's a little expired. It's 2019, so I don't feel as bad because of you.
We had a pandemic.
Well, that's what I told the lady at the bank when I tried, to check out things with my bank account, and they wouldn't let me because I had an expired license. I said, it's still a valid ID. Look at lady.
Yeah,
I know I had
some me about that too.
I know I had some, rough times these couple of years, but you could tell it's me. Seriously. And then they were being jerks about it. And I went in the door at the TD Bank. It's like all glass.
Oh, yeah.
But I was so angry that I went and I didn't like slam it like a jerk, but I did like forcefully close it. I thought I shattered it. It ended up hitting really hard. And then I felt bad because I kind of was yelling. And so I looked back and I was going to wave like, hey, sorry about that. They were all shaking their head at me. I almost gave them the finger and then I left. I was so pissed.
Big man over here.
You should have heard me on the phone with this lady named Jasmine. She got an earful, Eric. I was so angry.
Jasmine.
Poor Jasmine was trying to do the script thing, and I'm like, I don't need you to go through that. No,
she does.
Well, she said, I need to go through the script. I said, that you call it a script is pissing me off. Just stop. And then she kept calling me sir, told her to stop it. And then I was just being a jerk. And what was that, ma'am? I kept saying that. I was an ass. But I was pissed, Eric. I was pissed. So there you go. People getting a little more of an idea. But yeah, that's it. I really did like this. I hope that we have some cool books this week, though. I think we might, Eric. We get a little Batman Incorporated. And I ended up putting a hot take. You'll love this hot take. My hot take about Batman Incorporated is I think it's becoming too much of a Batman Incorporated book. The funny thing is I put that in the Slack and then forgot I did. And then Simon was throwing shade at me. Punchline was all that. I love Punchline. What I meant was I think that they're doing too much in that book to make Ghostmaker too much like Batman, to go with his rules, to run the... But the thing that's interesting about Ghostmaker is he's not Batman, and I'm worried about that, Eric. But we have that book. We have Batman and Joker, the Deadly Duo, #3. I thought you were going to want to do that on our spotlight tonight, but you did not. Thank God we didn't. Yeah, I think it was like 4-4. I think they were tied at one point. Well, then that must have been after the fact. Oh, on mine it was just 4-4, and then I said, "Which one do you want to do?" And then you ended up saying that. Yeah, so there you go. We also have, we did Flash, right? We have I Am Batman. #17, I believe, might be the penultimate issue of that.
For some reason, I do feel that goes to 18, but I also feel like deep in my bones.
No, I thought it might have. I thought it ended in
but I think it's
February, so
yeah.
I think it ends. Yeah. So then we get Wonder Woman 795. I just
love bomb.
I feel bad about that because we did stop. I'm doing more videos, and we stopped doing a lot of our written reviews. Gabe's doing them, and he actually did Wonder Woman, but the scores have gotten so much higher now that I'm not involved there. I look at that aggregate score. I'm like, Jimmy can't come into town and, make things right because of that. But who knows? Maybe it's...
Look at the podcast.
Gabe gave this a 6 out of 10. We'll see.
Nice.
We shall see. He says that Wonder Woman steps it up during the action.
Hopefully.
But she feels... I like that he says, but Wonder Woman is treated like a sidekick in her own title. What is new? Right? You know what I'm saying, Eric. What is new?
It's going to be more sexy as Cheetah.
See. Yeah, that'd be fine. We'll see how it is. I could barely remember what happened last issue. I know that we didn't like it, but those are the books. We have, 4 books? Is it on the regular podcast?
Yes.
A lot of these weeks not having much. Also, just to give the shout out to the end of the month, everybody here would be involved probably anyway, but it's an annuals month.
Who knew?
I had no idea. We would have been talking about that. So we'll have a Patreon only episode with those last week of books, and it includes, I think, a big Lazarus Planet deal.
Lazarus Planet?
I think it's the Omega.
We also have the 1 Minute War special, don't we?
Yeah, we have that special, and then we have some other weird things that I have no idea what they are, so we'll have to, figure that out when we get there. Some weird, maybe anthologies or something that came out of nowhere, but some decent stuff, some big stuff, so we'll be doing that. Obviously, no limitations, I hear. We'll see. That is it. That is it. I'm going to go and see what's going on. Yeah, really. We always, lay back on the regular show. But what do we say at the end of the spotlight?
Turn that spotlight off.
Go read comics.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science
is the revolution.
Weird science
is the revolution.
Weird science
is the revolution.